society and all your rules doesn't apply to me. I create my own rules. I create my own happiness. That would be to redefine what your 30s can look like. Mama, why do you do that? That's so weird. And it's the same way that I want to document all the happy moments and these challenging moments. And I remember that this is not what broke me down. This is what helped define me even further.
Thank you for reminding all of us that is part of our life as well. It's not just a happy moment.
And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was that sometimes we compare our chapter 10 with somebody else's chapter 44. Able to then, as women, listen to the natural rhythms of our bodies. We're not operating in a 24-hour cycle like men do. Yeah. We're operating in the lunar cycle. Feminine energy is living in these cycles, being in touch with our natural rhythm, coming back home to our body, listening to, of course, still operate with masculine energy. I'm not like, no, dude, we have to be in our... We're also in this 3D realm, but we need to find the balance. No, my body will tell me because I will feel when it's a hell yes and it's a hell no. When you have your practices that help still the monkey mind, the more ability that you have to see what's underneath where there's the gold.
Hi, welcome back to Bold Moves, the podcast where we empower women to be bold, be brave, and be you. I'm Ayu, your host, and today I think you will be loving this episode. I do. I just had a wonderful conversation with Xandrine. She is a feminine embodiment coach for women, and you will learn so much about feminine energy and why is it important for us right now to connect more with our feminine energy. We also talked about intuition, how to connect with our intuition from the embodiment practice that we need to do daily. You will love Xandrine. You will love her calming presence, yet powerful messages. It was also emotional for both of us as a woman in this session. I was enjoying it so much. So let's welcome Xandrine. Hi, Xandrine. Thank you so much for today. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so excited to have a chat with you. Thanks for having me.
I am too. I thank you so much for taking your time to sit with me today, and I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to do this with you, knowing that I will learn a lot, something from you. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So you are a feminine embodiment coach for high achieving women, guiding them through intuition, their feminine energy, and creative flows. As a context for the audience, can you tell us briefly about your current program? Like, what is it, your approach, or who is it for?
Yeah. Oh, I love that we're starting with this. So I work with women who are high achievers. They're leaders. Some of them are coaches, entrepreneurs. They have a lot on their plate. So then some of them are also mothers and juggling a lot on their shoulders. So as a result, sometimes they can get just
too much.
Overbooked. Everything's just too much. It's like then they are fatigued, they're burnt out, they're snappy at their partner or their children, and they're not happy with themselves. This is where I come in. I can then support them with embodiment practices that bring them back into their feminine radiance, flow, and energy. And through these practices, as you mentioned, I'm just going to elaborate on what you
sure.
so beautifully already mentioned. It's a deeper connection to themselves. A deeper connection to themselves means they're tapped into their inner guidance system, aka intuition. They have that inner radiance that comes from the life flow, the life force energy that's flowing through them. They are embodying their highest self so that they are making sound decisions about what to do. And life is going to throw us challenges no matter what, right? That's just a given. It's not like, oh my gosh, everything's like rainbows and butterflies. No, we will always have our challenges and they're there for us to grow. However, I do believe that when you have these practices, you are in a better position to face these challenges, overcome them, therefore creating more ease and flow in your life. You have a better way of overcoming these problems, these challenges that you're encountering because of these
You
deeper
get in touch.
embodiment.
Yeah, you get in
Yeah.
touch more with yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. So it's just really about connecting you back home to yourself.
That is beautifully said. And I love the way you say it as well. You have this kind of energy, very calm, very, and you're sure what you're talking about. I can tell that you really know what you're doing. And I love that. And I've been hearing a lot about feminine energy lately. Let's just start strong. Yeah,
Let's get into it.
And as you know, in this kind of world right now that we live in, it can be misinterpreted in many ways, positive, negative, whatever is that. From your perspective and for the listeners who wants to get the clarity of it, what's feminine energy for you?
Feminine. This is a loaded question, by the way, but I'm going to be able to just distill it to a very simple answer. For me, feminine energy is going against what we are normally taught to do, which is, for me, I was raised by a dad who has a very strong work ethic, which is all about working hard to the extent that sometimes you, most of the time, override your body's signals. And feminine energy is coming back to the embodiment, which is not like going through and thinking through all the mind chatter, but rather more of like the sentient felt sense in our bodies. And as a result, we're able to then shift away from the symptoms that we're experiencing. We're able to then, as women, listen to the natural rhythms of our bodies. We're not operating in a 24-hour cycle like men do. Yeah. We're operating in the lunar cycle. Our menstrual cycle is very much mirroring the lunar cycle. It's 28 days, right? Yes. There's a new moon, which is corresponding to our menstruation, our bleed. This is the time of rest and recuperation. And then as the moon starts getting brighter, it starts to mirror our face of like getting more energy up until the full moon, which is our ovulation. That's our peak, our radiance. Yeah. So coming back to our feminine energy is living in these cycles, being in touch with our natural rhythm, coming back home to our body, listening, because that is our superpower. Like, yes, that we're meant to, of course, still operate with masculine energy. I'm not like, I have to always emphasize that within my work, because it's like, it's not all like, yes, I'm going to be in my sensual feminine flow. It's like, no, dude, we have to be in our...
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
We're also in this 3D realm where, of course, we're working, we're making money, we're caring for other people, but we need to find the balance, because right now, in this very much patriarchal society that we live in, we have come out of balance, and now it's just a matter of coming back home to that balanced rhythm where we're in our bodies, listening, feeling, and as a result, moving accordingly to our inner truth and aligned. And as a result, that's the reason why we can find more ease. We're not like overriding.
No. And I love the way you describe it as coming back home. It sounded very, I don't know, it sounded very familiar, and it's just nice to hear it when someone say coming back home. And then, like you said before, we operate in sometimes in a very masculine way. I'm not that kind of like very feminine since I was little. So I have what I want to do, and I want to learn how to do it. And like you said, it's balance. It's not just about, I want to do the feminine energy, self-care, just doing some things for you. But also we live in this world where we need to go where we want to go. We have dreams as well. But the way you say balance, and it's kind of like a reminder for me as well that to get in touch with more with my feminine energy, and our body as a woman is different from men. And can you tell us why, as a woman, because a lot of women are raised in a situation where it's very masculine, it's very sometimes they don't even know how to get back home.
Yeah.
Like to get back home to your feminine energy, to learn how to do that. How do they get more in touch with this?
Yeah. So it's simple. Well, to begin with, it's slowing down. It's really having a look at all the things that you're doing and taking a little bit of an audit where you start to realize where you are overextending yourself, which could possibly be rooted in people-pleasing tendencies or lack of boundaries or lack of being in touch with yourself. So have a look at all the things that you're doing and see, where can I, just lessen my load and then have more time to be with myself, my body. And I love practices like, of course, the embodiment practices, but things that help you slow down, like yoga, breath work, being out in nature, right?
Yes.
Mother Nature is our way of just sinking back to our natural rhythm. You can't find yourself stressed when you're like in a beautiful beach or waterfalls or lake, right? Like
That's
immediately
why it's called
you will
Mother Nature.
notice, exactly, you will
It's
notice a
feminine.
shift.
Yes.
So it's calibrating to that rhythm. And so I would start there.
And the embodiment practices that can we talk more about that?
Yeah,
For
let's do it.
someone, just because not many women fully understand about what embodiment practice is. That's why you are here.
Yeah,
For
that's why I'm
someone
here.
who's hearing embodiment practice for the first time or second time, what's that? What would you say that actually looks like in real life? So you can give examples or whatever. How do you want to explain it?
Well, my simple explanation is anything that gets you out of your head and into your body. And so that you have more of that felt sense and that experience with that sensation rather than the monkey mind and thinking things through that puts you into the loop of overthinking, confusion. I'm not so sure. What should I do? And it creates a lot of havoc. And then sometimes people want to numb it out, like, oh, let me just scroll. Let me just drink alcohol or scroll on these dating apps. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm feeling anxious. This is when the embodiment practices come in. So what are embodiment practices and what can that look like? That can look like intuitive movement. So I like to just close my eyes. It's not about how it looks. It's about how it feels. And a simple technique is just like, what am I feeling in my body? Okay, so it could look like this. I'll tell you what a simple embodiment practice can look like. I'll tell you this. I actually just came from a flight that I took. It was a short flight, but I only had a very short amount of time in the morning to get in touch with my body before the whole thing, travels.
From the airport.
Yes, that whole ordeal. You know what that looks like. So what I did is I rolled out my mat and I asked myself, what feels tight right now? And usually it's like my neck and shoulders or my hips. Very common for women. It's for people in general, because we're always sitting down, right? So then I was like, okay, well, how can I move my hips in a way that will feel good? So simple. So I literally will do these like circular motions. And as a result, I'll connect to that. It's like, oh, okay, as I move this way, I start to feel that it starts to ease off this little kink that I'm starting to feel on my right hip. And even just a few minutes of doing that and coming back to my breath, coming to the connection where I'm not in my thinking mind, but rather in my feeling, felt sense, I am so much more grounded.
Yeah.
I can go into the airport with all the chaos and feel like
Not you as a chaos.
it's like it's all happening around you, but you're grounded. You're anchored in your body.
That's beautiful. Like that's actually a good exercise to do for look, who's listening to this? That is actually a perfect exercise to do, especially when you're overwhelmed. Like, because when I feel that too sometimes, but I forgot to do the exercise. And thank you for saying that today. And yeah, and when I'm on the plane, for example, now we're talking about travel, sometimes you feel tense somewhere, like me on my back or my neck. And I start to, I don't know, do a little bit of stretch, but like closing my eyes. Like that's actually how I feel in tune more to my body. And then I start to feel, oh, this is not right. Okay, this is not right. And maybe the movement that you do, like from your hip, but maybe I do stretching or whatever is that. And actually after that, you know something, oh, that was wrong. And I need to do something about it. And it's soft, gentle movement. Oh my God. And believe you me, not many people practice this.
Yeah. And that's why people are so disconnected from their bodies. That's why they're feeling dis-ease, that sense of contraction and agitation, and they don't know what to do themselves. And so they do all these other things, right? It's actually just like simply anchoring back into this beautiful vessel that we have been gifted with. And guess what? We're stuck with it our whole lives.
Yes.
So in a good way. And so might as well like love it, take care of it, have a deeper connection and relationship with it.
And the way you say it, we stuck with this body all of our life. Do you want to spend a lot of women actually hating their bodies? I had that experience when I was in teenagers, like never happy with my own body until I started to accept self-awareness and I started to accept that I want to do exercise to feel great, not just to look in a certain way. And do you want to stuck in this body, hating it all of your life? Or do you want to love it? Do you want to nourish it? Do you want to take care of it? I think you can both way. You can do exercise, but the way you do exercise, your mindset doing exercise is actually healthier when you want to take care of yourself from the place of love instead of hating it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, let's I love sharing things and creating points with analogies. Think of our body as this beautiful instrument. Anytime you're going to play it, you need to make sure that you're practicing it, that instrument, and you're tuning it. So think about our daily embodiment practices or practices in general as you tuning your instrument. So when you're playing your instrument, it's well tuned and it can sustain you for the long run. And as a result, you can create beautiful music. And I can go a little bit further, and let me just make this one last point.
Go further. This analogy is really good. Go further.
So remember earlier, I was just saying about how you can just intuitively feel what kind of movement to do when you're feeling, oh, my right hip is tight. Let me make these circular motions around it so that I could feel a little bit loose and open. That then correlates to life's big decisions. Oh, where should I move? Or should I break up with this guy? Or should I get with this guy? I will literally tune into my body and my body will give me the answers.
Signal, the answers.
Not the monkey mind that likes to overanalyze. No, my body will tell me because I will feel when it's a hell yes. And I will also feel when it's repulsed and it's a hell no. But I need to be tuning my instrument daily in order to have that ability. And by the way, we all have that ability, but we have to be in tune with it.
That's why it's going to be like a daily thing you need it to do so you can be more in tune with yourself. So you kind of like know, connecting it, just not your body, but also to life decision. I think that is very important. And as a woman, yeah, what you said makes sense. We have to be more in tune to ourselves, inner voice. You know what I'm saying? Because the outer voice sometimes is too much, is too loud. So sometimes you cannot hear your own inner voice. So you have to practice it to be able to understand it. Wow.
All the more so now because we have, as a general population nowadays, this habit of scrolling. So we're exposed to thousands of varying opinions on a daily basis. And we have the media, we have the government, we have our family, all these varying opinions, paradigms of how we should do life.
Yes.
And, a question that I always get is that, why is this important? It's important because if you're not tuning into yourself and your inner truth, which is also very much connected to your connection to God, to source, to that higher power, you can easily be swayed into this, that, and the other. That's not in alignment. And as a result, you can then start to be in a different situation that's not comfortable. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did I get there? This is insane. Like, those traumatic events and experiences.
Yeah.
That could have been avoided if you had a practice of tuning in and understanding my inner guidance system is telling me that that's not right for me. I really feel that this is where we're meant to be, because our intuition can speak to us in a variety of ways, right? There's various clair senses, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, various different ways. But then as women, for the most part, we're clairsentient. We feel. We feel. But we need to know, we need to have these practices and this connection with our body, obviously, in order to feel. And we need to avoid things that are just going to numb us out. Because there's a lot of that happening. Disconnection and numbing.
That's true. Let's talk about that. Disconnection, feeling stuck. I believe, like you said, many people, many women have this feeling in their life or businesses. Something that I've also experienced on that, feeling disconnected, feeling stuck. Do you think, like you say, is it feeling stuck is a signal that we are disconnected from ourselves?
100%, 100%. And I could speak to this very, very clearly because I was there. And I would be in such a challenge making decisions. And I remember my younger self would ask all the people, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think I should do this? Should I do that? And then after asking all the people, I'd end up even feeling more confused.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, now that I look back at that, it's like I was giving my power away. And ladies, this is us taking our power back.
Oh my God. I love it. You are a reminder today for me, because sometimes life can be really tough. You sometimes life can be like, you talk about your younger self. I didn't think life would be this way when I'm 34 right now. And then now actually I'm trying to more in tune to myself, but not as I don't do it daily like you. And that's a reminder I need to do it more. And that's why I ask a lot of questions about embodiment practice and feminine energy, because I feel like I'm drawn to that right now more than I was when I was 20s. And it's something that I felt disconnected before, because I asked myself to do, you have to do a lot, you have to achieve a lot, you have to do this, until I was burned out. And when I was burning out, I just felt lost. I didn't know who I was. And so I started to find myself again, little by little, by doing the physical practice like you do. I started to learn meditation. I took class in meditation and yoga as well. I started to listen to my body more instead of before, I'm tired, I can do that. That's okay. I'm exhausted, but I can do that tomorrow. But now it's more like, okay, maybe not today. And it's like you said, it's something that we need to do daily to be able to practice that, so we can be more in tune to ourselves. And it's just when you're disconnected to yourself, just for the audience, for the listeners, what are the signs for women who are disconnected to themselves? Can you please kind of like elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked about feeling like you can't really make decisions, where you feel like
Yeah.
everything's just so confusing. And then there's also like the signals that you get in your body, right? Our bodies are always talking to us and trying to communicate with us, and they communicate to us through symptoms.
Mm.
But the problem is, if you're feeling numb and if you haven't felt like, oh, I'm also disconnected from my sexuality, whether or not you're in a partnership, if you feel like you're disconnected from your sacral, which
Mhm.
is like our seat of our creativity,
Yeah.
then that is like a big sign that there is something off. Because one of the things that I also teach together with feminine embodiment is sacred sexuality. And it's being able to hone our sexual energy in a very sacred way, very
Mhm.
conscious, sacred way, where it's not like, I'm here needing to sleep with a partner just because I just need to get off. And that could also be a sign of it, like where you're
Yeah.
addicted to things. It's like, oh, I need to
Addiction.
scroll every so often. I need to find a date because I can't be single. Or if you're feeling like you're needing to go for alcohol or drugs and be, constantly dating somebody and you can't be
To
just
escape.
alone.
Mm.
Yeah, there's that
Escaping.
sense of escapism and wanting to run away and just continue to numb yourself out rather than having a look at actually what's there, so that there's actually a gift underlying the shadow that you could be experiencing. And I think that's the beauty and the transformation of the the work that I do. I have women look at their shadows. I shine light at the shadows aspect of themselves so that we can look at what's there for us to alchemize and uncover. So going back to your question, other signs is that so I mentioned like you're overthinking
Yep.
and you're numbing and you're also experiencing certain symptoms.
It's like
A tell
anxiety part of it as well.
Anxiety is definitely part of it. If you're a woman, this is a telltale sign your menstrual cycle is off. So if you're like spotting or there's irregular periods or sometimes
Too
you've
long
missed a period
or miss.
and it's been a long time since you have a period, that's a big sign that okay, we need to look at something here. Why is that happening?
Deeper.
And this has also been my journey, because for me, I was experiencing years of rashes.
Oh.
So I'll speak about my experience. How I knew that I needed this work was that
Mhm.
I was experiencing years of rashes, and the traditional allopathic kind of route was not helping. It was providing band-aid solutions. Here's a steroid cream. Here's this whatever cream that's supposed
Not the
to
root.
help.
Mhm.
We don't get to the root. So I had to dig deeper than that. And I was like, no, there's something here. And then when I dug deeper, it was that it was connected to my liver, and my liver from traditional Chinese medicines connected to the emotion of anger. So it's like, what was I not expressing in my
Ah.
life? Where was I people pleasing and not speaking my truth? And guess what? I started cutting out people in my life who were actually siphoning my energy. I started having really uncomfortable conversations.
Mhm.
And then I started to also heal naturally and holistically and be more in touch with my body, because I already thought I was in touch with my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that time, I was teaching yoga and very much like deep in my practice. And I was like, no, I think I got that
Away.
down. Of course, there's layers and depth to it. And the deeper you go, the deeper you go. So I went deeper into it. And then 4 years later, I healed it completely. I don't experience any rashes.
Wow.
I was disconnected in my own story where that I was experiencing just unfortunate events. Like I was having hospital visits, illnesses. I was experiencing car accidents. I was having really challenging friendships and relationships. And I was like, the common denominator there in all of those situations, guess what? Guess who? It was me. And it's a hard pill to swallow because when you're in that phase, you can so easily be in the victim consciousness. It's like, woe is me. I can't believe all of these things are happening. It's like, that's a big sign. Are you in that narrative? Why is this happening to me? Aha.
That's a reminder. Stay away from people who always think they are the victim. But oh my God, thank you so much for
if you
sharing
are
that.
in that, I just want to say, if you are in that, just compassion and love for yourself first off, and just know that is your telltale sign that there is something to look at within you that gets to be healed, because underneath that, on the other side of that, is your power.
I think it's you said it in a very logical but then very kind manner. So it's kind of like it makes sense for me. What experience that you told me, your story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And by the way, your experience that you had with the rashes and everything, the menstrual cycle that was off. I had that too when I was burnt out. I had that, and overthinking, the anxiety, worry too much about little things, and the monkey mind. The monkey mind. I talk to a lot of my friends, and they all have it.
I mean, it's a human condition. Let's just like not normalize it, but let's just say that we all have that as a human being. That is something that we have. But then there's also these practices that can help still the monkey mind. And again, like I like to talk in analogies to create
I
more
love analogies.
clarity within my points on what I'm sharing. So think about the monkey mind. Okay, I like to liken this to a lake with lots of ripples, right? The monkey mind is chaotic. There's so much going on. So it's as if there's so many boats passing through this lake. But then when you have your practices that help still the monkey mind, it starts to create that lake that has very little ripples. And when you have the lesser amount of ripples that you have, the more ability that you have to see what's underneath. In the water where there's the gold.
I love that because it's easier to understand, and it hits the spot. You know, when you use analogy, it hits the spot.
I feel like I need to do that just to simplify it, just because when I learned these concepts, I'm like, it was so esoteric. And I'm like, can we just simplify it? And so the more that I learned it, the more that I practice it, the more that I had to find ways to be able to express it in a very simple, easy to digest and understand way, so that people are not checking out again and just wanting to like, oh, let me scroll and let me go into something else. Because, right, that is our default now. If you're not in a few seconds engaged in what you're watching, boom, I'm on to the next thing.
3 seconds, they say right now. 3 seconds, that short. So 1, 2, 3, 4, nah. 1, 2, 3, 4, nah. And my mind is actually tired of doing that. It's not like I'm never, I've done that. So sometimes when I just, it's called mindless scrolling right now.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just get bored or something. You just sit and then start to, okay, 1, 2, nah. And to be honest, after 1 hour, 40 minutes doing that, my mind feel tired and I started to get agitated and my mood starts to, I don't know what to do. You go to a coffee shop, when they're waiting for their order, they're always, they're lining, but at the same time, they're not just lining. They are everyone in tune to their phone. And I see this a lot right now, even in in family dinner. So I had a dinner with my husband, and there are like 2 kids with their parents, another one as well. None of them are actually listening to one another. So everyone got their gadgets. So the kids get their gadgets and the mom and dad are busy with their own gadgets. While me and my husband, when we are having dinner, we don't use the phone because we know that it's going to disconnect us from the moment that we want to be together, right? If you have a date or something. And it's just in the society, the mindless scrolling, disconnecting to not just to themselves, but also the people around them.
Yeah. So think about it, if these gadgets are disconnecting us from the people around us, it begs to have that question of what else is it disconnecting us from? I'll give you an example. My daughter, so I kept her away from technology for the longest time. She was raised in a Waldorf school, and I think she got her device when she was 10, and I was really against it, but she went to a different school that needed it. So I was like, all right, fine. In her gadget use, she can forget that she needs to use the bathroom. She can forget that she's hungry.
Yes.
And then she'll later on tell me that she's starving. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me earlier? And then I realized, earlier she was on her gadget.
Yes.
So this is what's happening to all of us, even as adults. Because when it's literally these screens, they literally hypnotize us because it's like flickering lights, and, it literally draws us in. We forget about our surroundings.
True.
So when we're so drawn in and engaged in something, what are we not engaged with? We're not engaged with our bodies.
Our body.
And that's the reason why we can feel so agitated afterwards. Like I have that, we all have that too. It's like, and that's why even more so now, we need to have these practices. We need to make sure that we are able to, on a regular basis, connect back to what's most important.
That makes sense. That's why I feel agitated, because you just explained, because we are so drawn into that. And like you said, your daughter or any kid, they can forget their feeling. I'm starving now. Yeah, but you were hungry before. You just didn't feel it because it's just disconnected to their bodies. But because their attention is in here. I used to look at my phones before, 4 months ago when I wake up. That's horrible, I know. And then I wonder why I feel horrible after in the morning. I woke up in the morning and the first thing, guess what? The phone.
Yeah.
Okay, to wake me up, I said. Yeah, bam, 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 bam. 8 o'clock. And I just realized 45 minutes I stay on the bed, mindless scrolling, not getting anything out of it, not education, not anything. It's just like totally mindless scrolling that I did. And then, yeah, like I said to you, my body feels agitated, and the day feels like my mood is just like down, and I feel guilty myself. Why the fuck did I do that? Why did I look at my phone? And I started saying to myself, no more. So now I don't do that anymore. And let's talk about, you're also, let's go back to your coaching and everything. You're also recognized as a top coach and female entrepreneur, and as well as best-selling author, and many things that you do, like mastering martial arts. I think I saw it in your Instagram, and then mastering yoga and other things. That's awesome to see that. And from what I see myself, you are kind of a high-achieving woman yourself. What makes you choose to guide, to help women this way? What's your why?
My big why is that I'm sharing the practices, the tools that I wish I had way earlier in my life, that saved me from the adrenal fatigue symptoms, from the rashes, from the burnout, from all those freak accidents and illnesses. I see how the more that I coach women, that this work is necessary. And this is just part of my personality, that let's say if I try a really good piece of cake and it's so yummy, I can't help but share it. Like, you have to have this piece of cake. It's so good.
Yeah. It's
And
your
so
nature as well.
Yeah, and I noticed that I've been coaching now, I think, for 8 years, and my work has evolved. And my work has evolved to whatever has been so present as a transformational tool. And I share that, right? So I shared yoga, and then I shared dance, and I also started with health coaching, and I did holistic self-love and that manifestation. And
Transform.
yeah, and it's just kind of like evolved. And now what's really present is feminine embodiment and sacred sexuality, because these are the tools and the practices that have supported me to, like I said, overcome that burnout and that fatigue as a single mom, an entrepreneur, and a high achiever.
Yeah, you
And
are.
and to be able to utilize my intuition, my creative flow and energy for my manifestations. Because everything that I've done, now that I look back at it, that didn't go to waste. No, I am using all of that and I'm like combining it, but I'm just leading with what feels alive right now, which is feminine embodiment. But I'm still using my tools within manifestation, within self-love, self-worth, yoga, dance, and even martial arts. Like all the things that I've done, I pull from, and it goes under the umbrella of deep transformation and empowerment for high achieving women, because I see that these women are more often than not, they're on a mission to do good. And I love supporting women who have a huge cause, a big heart, and a huge cause that I just want to support. And so this is why I do my work. This is my why.
That's beautiful, and I love hearing it. It just makes me feel happy hearing that you love to support women, because what you've been through and your wise, you want to share that piece of cake that is so yummy to other women as well. Look, this is so yummy, and then that's your nature as well, just to give to this kind of woman that needed the guidance that you didn't have back then, that I probably
Absolutely.
didn't have back then.
Yeah.
And that is wonderful thing to do. And I think you're loving it. Do you love what you're
I
doing?
love it. If there's one thing that lights me up outside of being a mom, it's knowing that I've supported a client. And when I hear her transformation, or she audio messages me about her win, about how what she's been able to manifest, or how she's been able to shift out of this pattern, like my daughter can attest to this. I'm like, yes, like
Yes.
I will do a happy dance. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm like thanking
That's
God, but I'm
right.
also like thanking that I have that ability to
It's
create
you.
that support. And also, just to add on to the why, is that, sometimes it's so easy to look at all the highlight reels of these women that you
Yes.
see on social media, and you're like, wow, I wish I had their life. They have it all. If only I could be like her. You have no idea that some of these people that you're looking up to are also experiencing deep inner child wounds, insecurities, lack of self-worth. And
Yeah.
we're all just moving through that. And that to me is a big why, because sometimes I see these amazing, smart, talented, capable women doubting themselves, selling themselves short, or some at times forgetting their self-worth,
Whoa.
self-concept of ownership, not from an egotistical kind of
Perspective.
way, but rather it's like, again, we're children of God. We're like, of course I'm amazing. Of course I'm worthy. Of course I have gifts to share. It's coming from that inner knowing that I am just an extension of source. And as
I
a
adore.
result, I am sharing out my source energy through my body, through my life, and through my gifts.
I adore that part of you that we're not face to face, but I can feel your confidence, your self-worth, and I don't know, it alters some, I don't know, energy between us that I love. That we're doing it online, and
Yeah.
I can feel that, I don't know how to say it, the confidence of you knowing I'm worthy, I know my worth, and then I'm sharing it to women that needs that. And we need more women like that know their self-worth more than doubting themselves.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning that, I started to feel waves of emotions coming through,
Oh.
and because you were like reflecting. Thank you first and foremost for that reflection. That you're like, your worth, and as you said that, I was like, wow, you're right. Thank you. I do know my worth because I remembered all those times where I didn't. And as you said that, I literally felt emotions. Like it almost
Emotion.
brought me to tears.
Because that time, Xandrine, it's tough when you didn't know yourself, even when you didn't know your worth, and now look at you. Now, okay, now we focus on the great, how great you are. But then when you remember that time back then, you kind of like, oh my God, I've been through that, and that was very difficult things to do. Some part of our life is just very difficult, and you just want to avoid it. But again, we cannot, and it's just, oh my God, I feel emotional too.
You know what came through? You know what came through as you said that? It's that it's so easy to, first of all, for me, I'm a work in progress. I know my self-worth, but I also have moments where I forget, and then I come back to my practices and remember. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was that sometimes we compare our chapter 10 with somebody else's chapter 44.
I got goosebumps. Yes. Yes. I do that too. It's, look, I'm honest, I'm real. I still have that sometimes. And by the way, by your saying we have to practice it every day, that is the key highlight for today. We just have to practice it every single day. And you're right, we cannot compare our chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 123.
Yeah. Yeah. So, full disclosure, I'm 44 years old. So I said 44 because I'm 44. I just turned
Oh my God,
44
you don't
last
look like
month.
44, you just, you're radiant.
And what I wanted to share about that is that, like, wow, throughout that whole journey, and I still have my moments, it's like, wow, I've been doing this self-work for a while. And I have to say that in this time frame, I can't say that I'm done. I have mastered it all. I'm far from it. I am, again, a work in progress, continuously practicing, working on myself, allowing myself to remember, to ground, to come back to my inner truth, to connect to spirit, connect to nature, and allow myself to be in that frequency, because it's so easy to get out of it. And it's okay when we do. It's part of life. Our challenges, you know what I look back?
Mhm.
Okay, here's something I'll share about
No,
myself.
share it. I can't wait. Share it.
So when I have my challenging times and I'm like just out of it, crying in a pool of tears, I'll take a photo of myself. And my daughter's like, Mama, why do you do that? That's so weird. And I said, I had to explain to her the reason why I do this. And it's the same way that I want to document all the happy moments. And these challenging moments, I look back at them and I remember that this is not what broke me down. This is what helped define me even further.
I'm emotional hearing that. Thank you for saying that. Oh my God. That is just lovely. Thank you so much for look, I didn't expect this session to be like Oh, thank you for being you. Thank you for that message. I was about to ask but that message, but then it's just mind blowing. Thank you for reminding all of us that is part of our life as well. It's not just a happy moment. And it's part of really our journey to find ourselves, to know it's not just about happy moments that shape you to be the person you are right now. It's about that kind of like dark moments when you are in that dark tunnels. You feel like, I don't see any light. I don't see any way out. And that message, by the way, oh my God, that is such a reminder, beautiful message for anyone who's going through difficult times in their life. From the bottom of my heart, I feel it. How come this happens? Like, you just touch my soul from this computer, and isn't that connection? Isn't that
I
great?
love that. That's just energy. This speaks volumes of our energy, right? Like it's not location dependent. We're in
No,
totally different countries. We're looking at each other at a screen, but yet we feel each other. So much so that it's bringing us to tears.
I was just like looking at your eyes when you're saying it, and I just feel like you've touched me in a way that, oh my God, this person is not here, and me in here, kind of like in tears. And that is awesome. That is incredible things about connection. So before we wrap up, this is another different one for someone listening who might be struggling, rediscovering themselves in their 30s, unsure about who they are, feeling stuck, asking, is this it? Am I just destined to be, that's it, disconnected? Can you give them a piece of message what kind of message you're going to say to them so they can take maybe one gentle step they could take today from Xandrine?
Yeah, if there was just one gentle step, it would be to do what lights you up. It's simple. Do the things that make you happy. When we're disconnected from ourselves, it's usually also because we haven't given ourselves the permission to have fun, to do the things that we used to do when we were kids, right? Like bring back your inner child, connect to her. If she wants to jump on a trampoline, go do that. If she wants to like frolic in a beach or color or paint or dance or howl at the moon, things that are seemingly insignificant or just mundane, but truly make you happy, follow that. Because it's through giving yourself the permission to do what makes you happy that you will start to find your spark again. And through that, I would say trust the process, right? Like, I think the society can give us so much pressure that, when you're 30, you should be figuring it out. And you should have had it figured out and all that. Like, I'm 44 right now. Look, I'm a single mom and I don't have my partner yet. I've never been married. And I can say that I'm happy because I said, you know what? Society and all your rules doesn't apply to me. I create my own rules. I create my own happiness. So that would be to redefine what your 30s can look like. Trust the process and enjoy the journey. And also, if you want to take it further, you can always connect with me because I have a whole program to support you with that.
Oh my God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for today. I'm so glad we did this. I just had that feeling last night that this is going to be something. I told you, we're going to have so much fun. Well, a bit of tears. It's fine. But I'm so glad we did this. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this session. And I thank you for being you, for sharing everything to us. What you have, your piece of cake. I'm happy with that piece of cake. It's so yummy. And thank you so much, Xandrine. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ayu, for this beautiful conversation and for also allowing me to share the deliciousness of the cake that I have baked and now I get to share with the world and for women like you and, your audience. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, it's so lovely.